Gentlemen, I need to get up on my soapbox for a second, because despite having a very small platform, I would still like to use this platform for good occasionally. And the good that I would like to preach about today is, if you weren't already aware, there's a pandemic going on, and that pandemic has restricted crowds in a big way, which means obviously live music is, stumbled to a halt. Same thing with comedy and live performances, and I've seen some rumblings of occasional opera and stuff like that, but I don't know if there's any wide scale reintroduction yet. But this new association called the National Independent Venue Association, which comprises, I think, over a little over 2,000 independent venue owners, promoters, and bookers. They say that over 90% of independent venue owners, promoters, and bookers say they will have to close permanently within the next few months. And I think that survey was provided in June, or the survey results were provided in June. So this is lagging behind almost a month and a half. The concert industry stands to lose close to $9 billion in losses because of tour cancellations. And I know I had a tour that I was supposed to go to this summer that got rescheduled for 2021. But I don't even know if that's guaranteed yet. And I know concerts and live performances will definitely be the last industry to kind of reopen. And even when they reopen, audience sizes will be drastically reduced and intensely restricted and monitored. So it's not like as soon as things reopen, everything's just going to go back to normal. And this affects over 62% of American artists across all kinds of disciplines, who are now unemployed and can no longer get any sort of money coming in, because Spotify is not a realistic income source. And 90% of the National Independent Venue Association members don't have enough savings to last more than 6 months, which is nuts. We are in month, I guess, 3? No, month 4, I guess.
Depends on if you've been doing it right.
Yeah, I guess technically I think everything started to get bad in February, but
the South will rise again if you're talking about COVID rates.
Yeah, that's for sure. So it doesn't seem like anything's going to be opening anytime soon. And honestly, the worst news I've saved for last is that there's warranted fear amongst these independent owners that Live Nation, AEG Presents, and these gigantic ticketing companies will buy up and control venues after these independent owners falter, and then they'll just own everything and make you pay ticket taxes and fees out the ass, regardless
of wild
tickets.
Anything about that?
It's fucking something I hadn't even considered, and it's real gross, because that's how they would want it, because even though people are rising up against ticket fees, they can't do anything about it. So having them buy the venues as well would kind of make it pretty terrible. So what can you do, valuable listeners? You can send a donation to the National Independent Venue Association. You can write your representative about helping the concert, live music, and performance industry. There's an easy button on their website that will tell you, here are your representatives, and they have a canned message that you can send to them or edit or whatever. And that is NIVASSOC.org. I'll put the link in the show notes as well. And they're also they're creating a coffee table book, which has a bunch of photos of independent venues across the U.S. And proceeds will benefit the NIVA. And they're also creating these really, really neat posters that kind of highlight the different styles of music from a lot of participating cities that are home to a lot of the venue owners. There's one for Austin, which is just a gigantic armadillo playing a guitar with a cowboy hat, and it's centered in downtown Austin. It's really neat. So yeah, if you got a couple bucks, throw it their way. At least write your representative and utilize your voting power to make sure that they are getting the help that they need, because this isn't going to be over anytime soon. And the Paycheck Protection Program and the small business loans that were given out with the initial aid bill are gone. in dubious ways and otherwise. So yeah, that's kind of.
I mean, locally, I know that's what happened with 18th Street. They ran out of their loan. So that's why they had to permanently close. And I know for like U-Haul, with that loan, they've been able to keep only 5 people on the payroll. And that's even going to expire. They're going to run out of money in like 2 or 3 weeks. So I know even just as if you have a specific venue that you're familiar with or particularly enjoy, I know a lot of them are doing even like merch sales and stuff like that as a way to just raise some money for the people that are still on the payroll. So I know that's something I've done is just buy a T-shirt here and there, try to get by that way.
Even IMP, the big guys that own Anthem and 930 and Merriweather, like even they had to set up like an employee fund because they couldn't afford to keep on a ton of their employees. And they've offered like 930 T-shirts, and you can now put your name up on the Anthem sign. But it's so little, and not everyone is going to want to do that or buy a T-shirt.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a huge difference between buying a $30 T-shirt or a virtual tip jar versus the millions they get, and loans and funding. So
and definitely all sales and all that stuff,
right?
But. Yeah, it is Wednesday, July 22nd, 2020. Hate to kind of start it on a downer, but needs to be said and needs to get that information out there. I feel like not a lot of people are talking about it. And it is Season 3, Episode 13 of Bliss Point, a music curation and conversations podcast, serving up music discussion, news, show and album reviews, and more. Check us out at bliss.house, bliss.haus, and please check out the playlist that'll go up with this episode. Hashtag Mixdown Monday, coming at you every Monday or as often as I am able to remember. But my name is Jordan Kaufman, and I am joined by my lovely co-hosts, Billy Gatewood.
Hello.
And Paul Kolb.
I like the way you say Mixdown Monday.
Mixdown Monday. It's a pretty good hashtag.
It rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, it does. It's real nice.
You made the right decision.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Speaking of the right decision, great segue. We've picked some really good singles this week, and you can hear those singles on that playlist that we mentioned already. And there will be a couple other songs on there. I know Kanye put out a new song that's okay. And there's a couple other good ones in there that you should please check out if you got a free moment. My song this week is the new Sufjan Stevens track. It's called America. It is 12 minutes long. It's aggressive. It ebbs and flows and is very Sufjan, and I'm very excited to kind of hear him go back to his lavish production stuff. And even though I love Kerry Lowell, I'm very excited to kind of see what he does next. America seems very political. And I think he has a wonderful voice and a wonderful mind, with beautiful lyrics and storytelling. So I cannot wait to see what he does next. Mr. Billy.
So I got, Tender put out a new single. It's called Come Down When You're Ready. And it's just more of that very luscious, sexy, just moody, ambient, tender vibe, if that's what you're into. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of their last album, but this single gets me really excited again because it sounds a lot like the stuff on their first album, and it's catchy without being like in your face catchy. It sets a mood that is unlike any other to me. I've liked these guys for a long time, and I'm excited to see what they do next. And this single's got me excited that they're back on top of their A game.
Their production's really cool. It's like extremely cavernous, but in a really cool, dark, gloomy way. I'm glad you said sexy because it does seem very modern, dark, sexy,
Are you telling me that Billy picked something sad and sexy?
Yeah.
Every time.
All right. Shout outs. These are going to be the albums that may have just missed the cut for Album of the Week. Maybe we haven't had a chance to go knee deep into, or maybe we feel personally attacked by. And my album is as a pretty good pick. I think Billy feels the same way.
Hey, I think your album's my album.
Yeah, it's nice. Isn't it fun when we agree?
Look at us.
Selected this album sight unheard.
Yeah. So Haim put out a new record a couple weeks ago, Women in Music Part 3. It's great. It's a very nice record. I know it took me a bit to come around on, because I really liked it initially, and then I heard it again, and I was like, I don't know if I like this as much, but it slowly grew on me. It is not as, catchy or immediate as Days Are Gone. I feel like it is much more mature than their earlier stuff, but it doesn't feel as forgettable as Something to Tell You, which I really just did not get into or really remember. It is kind of long. It's like 16 minutes, a little over 50 minutes long. But I guess 3 of those tracks are bonus tracks, so it depends on, whether you actually include those in the whole experience. But yeah, Billy, how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, I was weirdly had my expectations kind of low for this. I don't know why. I just didn't want to be let down, and I was pleasantly surprised actually about how good it was. I think the length is a bit of an issue for me.
Yeah.
If I had my say, like, honestly, the first 2 tracks aren't the strongest in my opinion. Like, kind of a weak start to the album, but once you hit track 3, I Know Alone, like, that's when it really picked up for me. And I really liked it through until kind of like the bonus tracks, and I'm like, I don't need these on here. Like, if you would have cut the first 2 and the last 3 and just made it a 10-song album, like, I just feel like it would have been way more listenable for me.
You don't like the steps?
I don't.
I love the steps. I agree with Los Angeles. I don't think it's a great album opener.
Yeah.
And I think, you could cut the fluff at the end. Like, I do love Summer Girl a lot, and I think it fits with the record. But it's a bonus track, and it was like up to the album. Like, I don't need it to be. I can always add it to a playlist if I really want to hear it with the record.
That's kind of how I felt. Like, I felt like the Steps and Summer Girl were kind of like their own little like one-off. Like, the way I felt about Summer Girl and the Steps is very much the same, where it just didn't fit for me. I don't know why, because it is a very diverse album. It's not like they have some cohesive sound on this album, but for some reason those songs just don't fit on it for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, I mean, being honest, like, going through, I'll probably start at track 3 and listen through track 12 or whatever it is, and just pretend that's the album.
I agree that they could cut some fluff, and it would be a much, tighter, more concise experience. But yeah, I thought it was fun. I feel like they've introduced a lot of like reggae-ish, kind of reggaeton vibes to their sound without feeling super like appropriative. And it's
they definitely branched out.
Yeah. It's. I think that was why I was the most impressed with this album so far, is that it's not trying to be Days Are Gone Part 2, and it's really trying to do something different, even though it's still them, and it kind of has that like classic, pop trio style that they've kind of patented and made really big. So
for sure.
All right, albums of the week. Billy, I'm so excited to hear about yours this week. This is gonna be the best albums we've heard all week. I'm gonna jump into mine real quick. Nuvolascura. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's all lowercase. It looks Spanish, but I think it's a made-up word. Actually, you know what? I'm going to check myself before I wreck myself.
Sounds like a real word.
Because I would like to know if
knew something.
Yeah, I'm not going to search forever because the word is that a. No, all I see is the band, so it might just be that. But anyway, that was a dumb aside.
One way to get your name to pop up on Google is just make it up.
Right? It's better than... oh, God, there was a band that I was listening to that I honestly was so upset with how difficult they were to find on Google that I completely forgot about them and refused to look them up ever because they was so difficult. It was like, I don't know, the the adjective or something like that. It's something stupid. Anyway, nuvolascura, As We Suffer from Memory and Imagination. If you are into new school post-hardcore and hardcore music, very mathy guitars, very loud, screamed vocals, harsh vocals, like, this is for you. The record is 21 minutes long and does not leave anything on the table. Like, it is brutal. It is exhausting after you're done. The vocalist is fucking wild. Definitely reminded me a lot of State Faults. I think the production is pretty similar, if not a little bit better.
So much State Faults.
Yes, very, very State Faults. I think the guitars aren't produced as well, but they are just as varied and mathy and really cool. I think the addition of bass is really nice. When you can hear it, like, the mixing kind of sucks. And the drums are just fucking wild. Just constant chaos. And I love this record. It's so good.
It's a wild album. Like, I got tons of State Fault vibes like you did. And then, like, the vocalist, like you said, kind of reminded me of See You Space Cowboy, who we talked about last year. The vocalist kind of reminded me of that, with just that kind of, like, high pitched, like, screaming, squealing. It was, I was super into it. I will say, much like your Knocked Loose, it got a little samey for me.
That's fair.
But like you said, it's so quick. It's just a brutal onset of crazy hardcore for 20 minutes and then you're done. So
yeah, I think I completely agree. If it was longer, I feel like that would be a much bigger issue. Because State Faults has, like, those really nice compositional moments and kind of guitar breaks and everything that mix things up. And these guys kind of do one thing really well. But yeah, they're really good. You should check them out.
And the future of metal is, like, brutal albums that you can only take for 20 minutes.
Oh, I fucking hope so, man. I don't want this, like, stop giving me choruses. Just
Dude, think about it. And then they do a 20-minute set as part of a lineup, and then the guitarists still have wrists when they're in their 50s.
Yeah, right.
It solves so many things.
Yeah, and then none of them really drink or do drugs anymore, or at least to the extent at which they used to. So, like, I don't know, man. Give me nuvolascura for, like, 40 more years. Let's fucking go. All right, the moment we have all been waiting for.
Whew.
Every year it leads up to this moment, and whether or not it's actually going to make our album of the year list.
Wait, you mean 4 times every year?
Oh, that's right. It's actually funny you say that, because I honestly couldn't remember if America Online was on the last album or if it was year, or if it was a single. It was a single, right?
It was a single, but first release.
That's my favorite one for this one.
Okay. Yeah,
but we need to throw it over to everyone's favorite red bandana wearing Midnight Boy.
Bandana guy.
Bandana guy fanboy is here.
Lord William Gatewood III. What did you think?
So, obviously, I've been looking forward to this album for months at this point. And I will start off by saying I am very glad that I did not listen to any of the singles after America Online, which came out months and months ago, and then the second single, Deep Blue. I'm glad I didn't listen to the string of singles that they released afterward, because I think that would have really blurred my expectation of what this album was going to be. Obviously, it's the Midnight Monsters, 15 songs, almost an hour long, just pounding synthwave music, but it's so different. It's not at all what I was expecting, and I am not at all disappointed by it either. It's just so much more mature than their previous stuff, so much more cohesive. It truly feels like it tells a story all the way through. There's not a whole lot of filler and breaks that you got with Kids. Kids, I felt like, even though it was an album, there was maybe like 4 actual songs on it and the rest was kind of filler. Like, this is just like track after track, and the production level is so much better and so much more improved than their previous stuff. Their songwriting, or Tim's songwriting in particular, is just drastically out of the box from what they were doing before. I mean, they've gotten so far away from just your basic kick snare 4 on the floor beat with the synth bass to like crazy kicks and percussion, like crazy beats. They use an 808 kick at some point during the album, which I would have never expected. Like, there's just a ton of stuff on this album that you wouldn't have expected from this group. And Tyler's vocals, I think, just like took it to a whole new level. Like, his singing, he really like branched out on his style of singing, and there's so many different ways that he does melodies and harmonies on different tracks. And I don't know, I've only listened to it one time all the way through. I kind of wanted to sit on it like that and just kind of take it in, but I was not disappointed in the least.
The sax sections are so tasty.
Oh, their sax player is so good, and it's not overdone either.
He's like fully part of the band, correct?
What's that?
The sax player is like fully part of the band, right?
Not necessarily. He hasn't actually toured with them on their last couple of tours.
Oh,
and it's not the same when it's not him. Like, honestly, like, nobody can play sax the way he plays those songs.
Okay. So I have a couple questions. As someone who did not know who the Midnight was until we started this podcast. So I'm not super familiar with their entire back catalog, like you would be. But this feels like their most obvious / earnest attempt at making like a synthwave pop record. Do you agree or disagree?
Yes. Okay. I would say this is way more accessible than anything they've done before.
Yes. Like, specifically, like, songs like 17 and Dance with Somebody, and, like, I think the title track does a good job of maintaining their, like, super dark synthwave style with a traditional, like, guest singer, you know, electronica pop song. But I think they do it really well. I kind of hate myself for enjoying Dream Away as much as I do. I don't know why I like that song so much. I think it's because it's so different.
Yeah,
like, the implementation is kind of weird, and like you said, like, it does not feel like your typical kick or snare kick kind of pattern. Like there's like some weird percussion on it that makes it.
Yeah, they've got like a lot of like half the tracks I feel like have either like a snap or a wood block instead of a snare.
Yeah. Yeah, I forget what song it is, but there's like a very, very, very loudly mixed snap. It's like way to snap. I forget what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's like a wood block or something, and I know exactly what you're talking about because when I was listening to it, I was like, I could maybe turn down like a couple of dBs because it's real loud.
Yeah. And the only thing I'll say is Prom Night fucking sucks.
I'll give you that.
Everything else I did not hate. I thought it was
Prom Night probably the weakest, and Helvetica like could have done without that maybe because it felt like a little bit of filler with all the weird tempo changes and key changes. Like, probably could have done without that.
I really love his compositionally focused songs that like don't have a lot of vocals because I think he does interesting things. And obviously Helvetica is one of those. But I think The Search for Echo's better.
Yes, that is an instrumental like that I'll take all day. Like that song feels like it has some purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's
cool.
Not bad. You know,
look at that. Not bad.
Paul, did you have anything specific to say? I know you said.
I mean, we already talked about that single, but America Online just had me blissed out in such a specific way. It had me nostalgic for a time I didn't live through, which I believe is possible because we act like decades have these weird divisions and meters of 10. But if you're a 90s kid, you were exposed to like shit. Anyway, that all aside, I agree that this definitely belongs on that contentious list.
Woo!
Ooh, this might be the year.
A man after my own heart.
I like how we act as if Billy's like somehow a long shot when it comes to the record that he stacks every year somehow.
Well, what I was going to say is like we'll see how willing we're ready to let Billy take over the entire list. I don't know. We'll see. Honestly, I can't remember what's happened in the first 4 months of the year. So
me neither. I couldn't tell you what we've picked so far that I'm still listening to.
So
nothing.
No.
Why do we do this?
Did anyone listen to the Eminem Cuddy thing?
I did.
Yeah.
Is that
How is
on the playlist? I think I did. On one of the playlists for the next 2 episodes, I think I put it in. Let's see. Yes, it is in this episode. The new Kitty Cudi. Kitty Cudi. The new Kid Cudi Eminem track. Paul, did you not listen to it?
I have not yet.
Okay.
It's been an interesting couple weeks.
I like it. I think it's pretty good. I don't really like Eminem anymore, and I think he's why I really like the track.
So this is gonna sound terrible, but did Eminem hold back so that he didn't outshine Kid Cudi? Is that possible?
It's
a valid question.
Yeah, I could see M really trying to like make a song good. My only argument against that case is the 3 albums that he's put out over the last couple of years. Complete garbage for no reason other than that he was on them. So I don't know. Maybe it's possible.
God, you should just start doing hooks for everybody else.
That's what I'm saying, man. Bringing these people together, making good albums.
Like he can still have a great career and hang out in videos and stuff.
Yes. Absolutely.
I do love how you can make an entire merch line off of one single. The fact that they've got like T-shirts and sweatshirts and all this stuff just from the just from the artwork from that one single.
It's not a good looking album cover.
No, I mean it's just the 2 of them, so I guess maybe that's why. I don't know.
Like, oh, this is my favorite single of the year. I would love their faces on my shirt.
You're talking about that image that looks like it was drawn on a boardwalk?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like someone took a picture and then put a shitty Instagram filter on it and then put their faces and like cartoon writing behind it. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's that good looking. But Billy, the
shady side of the moon is just like a gimme, you know? It's a missed opportunity.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You should be in their camp, Paul. Giving them idea.
I'm all right in mine.
Billy, that Taurus track is in this week's playlist as well.
Yes. So. This week's going to have so much good stuff. I don't know if you caught it, but David Gilmour put out a new song too.
Did you like it?
Did I like it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. I don't really listen to his solo stuff. So
it's very much his style.
Yeah.
Except for that chorus is pretty emo. Pretty emo.
Man. If you're curious about the singles and albums we talked about today and the ones we didn't, there will be a playlist up on the site containing all the singles and the best tracks from this week's albums. That site is bliss.house, bliss.haus. Please check out the playlist, not playlist. Hashtag Mixed on Monday. Check us out on all the places podcasts are listened to. Like, subscribe, follow, etc. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I love you all. And that website, if you're looking for it again, is bliss.house, bliss.haus. Thanks for coming, fellas. Always
see y'all next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.